My assistant.
Ready?
Yes.
Bring jury up.
Judge, for the record, before they come out, I still haven't gotten that stuff on Zopco.
On what?
I haven't seen anything on Zopco that I was supposed to see. My witness.
Okay, very good. Let's deal with that tomorrow.
I'm just making my record. I'd like to have it today, going into tomorrow.
Okay, very good. You can get it today, but that issue about you objecting, just provide it for him today. That's fine.
Just a redacted copy
Back
of
on
the
the record
one.
on the Melendez matter. Appearance for the record.
Your Honor, Robert Donaldson, for me on behalf of the people.
Carmen D. Frank on behalf of the people. John Donaldson on behalf of the people.
Judge, James Towns on behalf of Mr. Melendez.
Alex Brennan for Mr. Melendez.
Okay, very good. Outside the presence of the jury. The court is going to order that the prosecution give redacted information to counsel. The court has, based on the statements made by the respective parties, the court did appoint the witness an attorney, and he exercises Fifth Amendment rights. And the court's not going to get into that, and it's not relevant. But however, the court will indicate that at least you'll have a redacted copy. You can make whatever right that you want to outside the presence of the jury. Let's bring that witness back. Where is he? Where's the document? You're still under all bring that jury out, please. I'm going to stop at 2 o'clock today. Okay, somebody's in the restroom? Okay. Just be seated. That's fine.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Doctor. I'd like to apologize for my flippant comment earlier. You worked hard, I'm sure, to get your doctorate, which is great.
Thank you.
And did you know that most lawyers are doctors, too?
Absolutely.
Okay, juris doctor?
Absolutely.
You don't have to call me Dr. Donaldson, okay?
Okay.
And, sir, counsel, when he was qualifying you, asked you a lot of questions about your academic background, did he not?
Yes.
You're also a sworn law enforcement officer, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
All right. And have been for quite some time?
Yes.
When were you first a law enforcement officer?
I became a Malazzi back then, but MCOL certified, Michigan certified in 1981.
And have you worked as a police officer at various locations?
Yes, I worked for St. Clair County Sheriff Department until 1988, from 82 to 88. Then I worked from the Spokane County Sheriff from 1988 to 1996. And I worked during the summer as a patrol officer with the Charlevoix County Sheriff Department.
Do you still do that?
Absolutely, yes.
And when you were a rookie officer, or close to a rookie officer, you had a bad experience, did you not?
Yes.
Right. You were shot on the job, is that correct?
Shot in line of duty, yes, sir.
And a bulletproof vest saved your life, is that correct?
Yes.
And you became very interested in bulletproof vests and were active in terms of training and research and things like that with bulletproof vests as a result of that. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And about that same time, you became very interested in the academic part of the policing world, for lack of a better term.
I was interested in academic first, but then, yes, eventually bulletproof vests.
Okay, I had it backwards.
Yes, that's
You did the academics first and then,
Yes.
then the police work. And would you say you're a somewhat unique blend of academic and cop?
Yes.
Okay. And, sir, your resume or your CV talks a lot about the various things that you have rendered an opinion on. Would you agree with that?
My CV, yes, generally, but
Okay. Well, you wrote a bunch of papers saying what your opinion was on the various subject matters, correct?
correct.
And you have hosted a couple radio shows, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And are you hosting one now?
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of it?
It's called Cop Docs.
Okay.
Cop Doc.
And you host it with somebody that you work with, is that right?
That's correct.
Is that person also a policeman and have a doctorate?
No, he has a doctorate degree, but he's not a police officer.
Okay. And you've also written a book, is that right?
That's correct.
And you've written one book or more than one book?
One book.
All right. And you were kind enough to drop a copy off day before yesterday, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I appreciate that. I do. And I took the time to read it for what it's worth. How is the sales of that book going?
Right now, it's well, the sales will be going better, but because it's required in some classwork, some of my classes. But right now, they are probably 100 or so, if that.
Okay. Because it just hit the market, is that right?
It's new.
We had to call you up and ask for it because it just brand new hit the market, right? Like on eBay within the last week or so.
I think it's been a little longer than that, but basically, yes.
Okay. So you're kind of a celebrity. Would you agree with that?
I don't think of myself as a celebrity, but so I don't necessarily agree, but thank you.
All right.
Yes.
And on your radio show, you talk about things like what happened in Ferguson, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and pretty much any story involving police violence, you opine on, you give your opinion on, is that right?
That's certainly my opinion, but yes, opine on, yes.
All right. And would it be fair to say, correct me if I'm wrong, that your opinion is often pro-police?
Often, not always.
Okay, all right, that was the question, often. And you offered to sign my book for me. Would you do that after I cross-examine you?
Judge, it depends.
What's that?
It depends.
Yes.
Does it depend?
Is he going to be nice?
No. I'd be glad to sign it if you want me to.
All right, and I do, no matter how this goes.
Okay.
And, sir, would you agree that your expertise, strike that, you also write newspaper columns, is that right? For the trade newspapers for the police, like Police Officers Association of Michigan and Association of Police Chiefs and places like that, is that right?
Yes, I've written articles in the past, yes.
Okay. And you advertise in legal circles as an expert in the area that you're testifying about, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't work for free, correct?
No, I do not.
The book you published, what entity published it?
Landon Ellsmer Publishing.
And do you know what the ownership structure of that is? Who owns it?
I'm not sure who owns it.
Okay. Did they come to you and ask you to write this book?
No, I've been writing it.
All right. And how was it that you ended up publishing it? How did that work? They came and said, you're writing a book, we want to hire you and we'll give you an advance. Was it like that?
Dr. Tridico at Lake Superior State had a connection with the publishing company.
And did they give you an advance to write the book?
No, they did not.
All right. Did you have to advance any money to write the book?
No.
What does the term police phenomenology mean?
Police phenomenology is a term that I used in my dissertation at Wayne State to do with how officers interpret events and their interpretation and meaning.
All right. And that's a term you coined, would you agree?
Not phenomenology, but the police phenomenology, yes.
Okay. And that's kind of what you're coming in here to be an expert on, right, is police phenomenology.
Kind of.
You're an expert on almost all things police. Would you agree with that?
Not necessarily all things, but a lot of things, the police and police policy, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yes.
And use of force and basically any area that is academically studied.
Pardon me?
Anything that the academics study about police, you brought up on and gained expertise in that area. Is that true?
Not all areas of police, but many, yes.
All right. You know geometry and physics too, don't you?
A little bit, yes.
All right. And you say as much in your book, right, that you're an expert on those things.
Not in geometry and physics. I'm an expert in ballistics, which has to do with geometry and physics.
And in your book you say, on page 6, if you would like me to give it to you, that you're an expert in geometry and physics because you know about ballistics, right?
I don't believe I say I'm an expert in geometry and physics, but I'm considered an expert in ballistics.
All right. Well, maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe we won't. And you're a social scientist, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And your degree's in sociology, correct?
That's correct.
So you're an expert in the field of sociology, is that correct?
Yes, studying police.
And you're an expert on state and societal institutions, political realms, economic realms, legal realms, and political realms. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what context you're speaking of.
You have a chart in your book where you talk about how all of those things interact with each other and how that works. Is that correct?
Yes, it's
So you're an expert on all of those things because you're writing about them in a learned treatise, correct?
Well, Judge, that's argumentative.
Overall.
I would not say I'm an expert in all those areas.
Okay. You rendered an opinion on those things, correct?
I wrote a chapter.
And in your book, you talk about an interview you did to become a police officer. You got flagged basically for a second interview. You remember that part of your book?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury about that?
Pardon me?
Can you tell the jury about that experience?
I was in the process of going from St. Clair County to Oakland County Sheriff, and I took the psychological exam, and per procedure I was called in for an interview.
And you knew what, correct?
I believe I knew one, yes. I did pass the interview, and it was not a problem.
Why did they call you in, or at least what was your thought process?
My thought process was that they did not understand that I was already an experienced deputy sheriff at that point. So when I sat down with the psychologist, I explained to him that I was experienced and that was pretty much the end of the interview.
Wasn't it kind of the other way that you were experienced, but that some of your answers kind of dealt with the academic side?
Oh, yes, and he, yes.
All right.
Now, just,
And you told him about your academic
He's not
side.
done answering.
I'm sorry.
Okay, you can finish. I'm sorry if you weren't done.
psychological testing is brought in different categories, and he did pick up that, for the instance, that I was more passive than perhaps the average police officer, as an example, and he brought that up. That I didn't show much sexism, as an example. And I explained that my academic background, that I have studied shootings, I studied policing and so forth. I think he picked that up and was not a problem.
And he saw that you weren't, I think the word you used, stereotypical applicant, correct?
That's correct.
And once you got done with him, he wanted to read your articles, correct?
I don't recall that, but I know.
Is that what you put in the book?
I'm not sure at this point, but we didn't, yes, I know that
Did
Dr.
you like the
Campbell.
book?
No,
Okay.
it's,
Would you agree that you have a bias towards police officers?
no.
I want to go back a minute. You're also an expert on watching movies, aren't you?
Watching movies?
Like we just did.
Oh, videos.
Okay.
Police videos, yes.
And you can-
I've looked at many.
And you can point out things that nobody else can see, right?
Well, that's the proper, expected to the best. Move on.
Do you remember what the first sentence of the first chapter of your book is?
First, I'm not sure. No.
Are you talking about the foreword or the first chapter, please?
The first chapter, first sentence of the book. Can you read it to the jury? Just the first sentence, please.
The basic role of police in society is the use of force.
And that's what you believe?
Yes.
So what police do is use force.
The very presence, they're forceful, yes.
They're not in charge of being a community gatekeeper and providing service to folks, just using force.
By their presence is forceful in uniform.
And that's all.
No, that's in the first citizen encounter, police officers wear uniforms that show authority and show weapons, and they're forceful, even their presence.
Isn't it true that you perceive police officers as warriors?
As peace warriors.
Is that how you refer to them in your book?
Yes.
Warriors.
Peace warriors, I believe.
Just peace warriors? You
Yes.
don't never say warriors. Okay, well, we'll come back to that. You ever heard the term thin blue line?
Have I ever what?
Heard the term thin blue line.
Yes.
And somebody else told me, I didn't know it, that
Objection
it is a
to
charity,
the form of question.
that there's a charity named that. That's not what I'm talking about. Have you ever heard that term other than as a charity?
Yes.
And what does it mean?
The thin blue line is the police officers. It actually was coined by Los Angeles Police Department, being that the thin blue line stands between criminals and citizens.
And it's a tough job, right?
It can be, yes.
No, cops get killed on the job, quite a few of them.
Yes.
And as a result of that being a thin blue line and the dangers that are associated with it, is there a special sort of camaraderie that occurs between police officers?
Yes.
Right. Sort of like in combat, the band of brothers sort of a concept. Would you agree?
I would not agree with that analogy, but
What?
there is a camaraderie, as you indicated.
Right. And a tendency to close ranks when bad things happen. Would you agree with that?
It depends on the situation, but yes, that can happen.
Is your son a police officer?
Yes.
In Grand Rapids?
Yes, he is.
And he's had a bad experience on the job, is that correct? He's been assaulted by someone he was going to rob?
I imagine yes, but yes.
You don't know?
I would think so. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but yes, I'm sure he's been
Had some hot water thrown on him? Remember
You
that
don't
thing?
remember that?
Yes, that was in a newspaper. Yes, he did have some hot water thrown on him.
Okay, by,
Water, I think, water and boiling fat or something along the lines of domestic.
and it was by a deranged man, would you agree with that?
Yes,
Who was African American, is that correct?
I do not know that.
All right. And, sir, what was your presentation on when you were a student getting your doctorate?
My presentation, my dissertation,
Yes.
it was regarding police shootings, analyzing police shootings of police officers that were shot on body armor.
And during the course of that, did you lecture at both Wayne State and, I think it was Oakland, about the Rodney King issue?
Yes, I had a lecture at Wayne State regarding Rodney King.
And what was the name of that lecture?
I don't recall, I believe the police perspective of the Rodney King incident, something along those lines.
So it's a police perspective of what happened to Rodney King in that case, correct?
Yes.
And the police perspective was that the officers were treated unfairly, correct?
Not necessarily. It was actually a whole class, so we're talking 3 hours, I think 15 weeks if my memory serves me correctly. So no, that was not the focus.
Would you agree that the police subculture is notoriously closed?
I believe that the police subculture can be closed, yes.
All right. And you've used that exact language, have you not?
It can be closed, yes.
Okay. You've indicated that in the police culture there is a separation between the administrators and the officers who are on the street. Is that correct?
Many times, yes, there tend to be two separate cultures.
And which one are you?
It's a good question. I think I'm more, my beliefs are more towards the administrator position.
Have you ever been an administrator?
I've been a sergeant and I've worked in administrative positions with sheriff departments, yes.
Okay, but you've never been a big boss in terms of setting policy and things like that?
No, but I've lectured at IACP, International Association of Chiefs of Police. So.
All right. So you as a sergeant can tell the chiefs what to do or how they should do it?
No.
All right. But that's what you did, right?
Well, I was
lectured as a sergeant, maybe, to the police chiefs about how they should run their shops, right?
I never did. I didn't.
I lectured as a college, as a professor.
Okay. You wrote a book about police shootings, is that right? Or had an article published about it?
And I believe more than one, yes.
All right, and you did a long, in-depth study where you talked to police officers who had been shot like you, is that correct?
Yes, that would my dissertation.
Okay. Did you talk to any of the folks that were at the scene with the police when the police officers were shot?
No, my dissertation consisted of me, of interviewing the police officers that were shot.
Because the whole purpose of it was to explain how they reacted and how they perceived their being shot. Do you agree with that?
Generally, yes.
Okay. And you had that happen to you?
Yes.
Do you think any of that influences how you look at things?
Do you think my background...
Ask the question. Answer the question.
Well, Judge, any of what? him being shot or the interviews that he
Okay,
had?
well, let him ask that.
Well, Judge, it's a
Okay,
compound question,
excuse
objection.
me. Okay, sustained.
You understood the question, didn't you?
No,
All right. Did your being shot, or you're interviewing a number of other officers who have been shot, influence how you look at them?
your experience does influence how you look at things, yes.
Okay. Do you think it might have influenced how you looked at things in this case?
No.
In your book, you talk about police officers metamorphizing. Do I have that right?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure what you mean.
That they change. They turn into something that they weren't before they were police officers.
The different academics have studied how police officers go through different stages in their career. That's what you mean.
You know who Van Massen is? You cite him in your book on page 195. Is that right?
Is it Madden? And
Read as much as you want. The paragraph I had that ended under this thing.
yeah, Bad Man. Yes.
All right. And it talks about, and you cite as an authority, that the final phase of becoming a police officer is what?
Metamorphosis.
And that's like turning into a butterfly, right?
Objection, argumentative.
No, it's not. How'd you mean that term?
that they go
That's a
through
better
change.
question,
Not,
Judge.
I would not change them into a butterfly, but
Okay.
that's quoting Van Madden.
Okay, and I understand that, but you quoted in your book as something that was valuable, right?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That they become police officers, they metamorphose, that they change, that they become police officers. They get.
But how are they different? How do they change?
They see things differently. They see things as officers see things.
Okay. Different than all the rest of us. Is that what you're saying?
Not all the rest of us, but different than some of us. Yes.
Did you write an article called Brethren, Ballistics, Blood, and Body Armor?
That was a presentation.
Okay. And who would the Brethren be?
The brother would be the police.
And you feel that they're your brethren. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And you wrote an article called Defending Enforcement Action or something like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Something like that.
And, well, if I got it wrong, tell me what it really was.
I'd have to look. I've written lots of articles.
And that's like what you're doing here today, right? You're defending enforcement action, right?
That's my opinion.
Okay. What is a pretext stop?
A pretext stop?
Yeah.
It's a stop that the police make based on a traffic violation.
And that's it?
Well, it's a Supreme Court ruling, I believe the case was Wren, and it ruled that the police officers could make a stop for a traffic stop based on a traffic violation.
But I asked you a different question, which is, what is a pretext stop? What were they talking about?
A pretext stop would be a situation where a police officer looks at a traffic violation, makes a stop so he or she could look and see inside the car.
All right. And you worked as a road officer, is that correct?
Yes.
You decide you wanted to pull me over, I'm a bad example, pull over a good driver. Would you agree that it wouldn't take very long to fall in behind that driver and find a reason to pull him over?
Generally speaking.
Okay. You can almost always find somebody who doesn't signal coming out of a parking lot or doesn't signal changing lanes or whatever, right?
Yes, many vehicle codes.
So the idea behind a pretext stop, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you use a legitimate stop, there's a legitimate reason to do it, to accomplish another goal. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it could be another goal.
Would you agree that studies in sociology consistently show that there is a cultural bias in the way people, in particular police, process information?
I wouldn't call it cultural bias, but there's a certain way that police and other cultures, subcultures,
Let me
process
ask it a
information.
different way. There are studies that show that white officers will shoot at black suspects in controlled environments, you know, where they just change the backgrounds and the ethnicity of the person they're shooting at changes. And that they're more likely to shoot the black suspect than the white suspect. You know that those studies are out there, is that correct?
I don't recall seeing those studies.
Do you agree that cultural bias can play a role in how people perceive things?
Yes.
When you came, strike that. When were you first contacted about coming in here and testifying on this matter?
My counsel called me, I believe, in May or June.
And you reviewed some items, is that correct?
That's correct.
The video, is that correct?
That's correct.
And police reports, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when you were preparing for your testimony, did you sit down and look at the film that you showed the jury here and walk through with them, with counsel? Did you watch the movie with Mr.
Yes.
Okay, Thomas? And was his client there?
No.
Were they pointing out things to you just like happened here in court?
No.
Oh, so you were the ones that pointed everything out?
No. I pointed things out.
They didn't say, well, look at this frame, he's doing this, that, and the other. They didn't do any of that?
No, I looked at the video many times before.
That wasn't my question. You were preparing to testify in this case, is that right?
Yes.
You learned that your testimony was going to be limited to what was shown on the film. You learned that at some point, correct?
Yes.
And you watched the video with Mr. Thomas after that point, is that correct?
No, actually I watched before.
Okay. You never went over it like you went over here in court? You never said, show me what you're talking about, and pointing stuff out, and him pointing stuff out to you? None of that?
I pointed things out to him, but no.
Okay. He never pointed anything out to you?
No.
Would you agree that your review of this case was entirely from the police perspective, that you never talked to Mr. Dent, correct?
I'm not talking to Mr. Dent.
You didn't ever have his version of the events, did you?
No.
Would you agree that Mr. Dent would have a better idea whether he got choked than the video would?
I don't know. I did not talk to Mr. Dent.
So your whole analysis is colored by the fact that you only looked at one side, correct?
I looked at the police reports, and I looked at the video, yes.
Okay.
Police reports, plural.
Would it make a difference to you if portions of the police reports that you relied upon were lies?
Judge, that is not evidence in this case.
No, it's a rephrase, the same. Hypothetical.
I like hypotheticals, Judge, but it has to be based on facts that are going to be shown in this case.
I'll come at it a different way, Judge.
Not lies. Just
You have testified before this jury Now, what you saw on that video was reasonable, is that right?
Yes.
Was that opinion affected at all by the other materials that you reviewed? Just yes or no?
Yes.
And if there were lies in those materials, would that change how you viewed things?
If I was aware of the lies, yes.
So, if an officer lies in a report, what do you think of that?
That would be wrong.
Would you agree that it would show some consciousness of guilt?
It could.
If an officer were to lie under oath, what would you think of that?
That's unacceptable.
And would that be consciousness of guilt?
It would be wrong. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by consciousness of guilt, but yes, it would be wrong.
People lie to get out of trouble usually, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Now, I think you testified that you saw a white Cadillac go by when you watched the film. Is that right?
It appeared to be white Cadillac, yes.
All right. What year?
A newer model, I'm not sure what year.
And what model?
It appeared to be as STS, I believe. There's a bigger one,
All right.
certain bodies.
And you knew which one you were looking for, right?
I knew which one I was looking for. Yes, I mean,
And you wanted to see it there, is that right?
no, I didn't want to see it there.
But nonetheless, you do see it there.
It is
The white Cadillac.
a white Cadillac, yes, sir.
Are you an expert on cars too?
No, but I think I know white Cadillac.
You say that you saw a car turning on its blinkers. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Why did you point that out?
I saw it because I could see, I was asked what I could see, and I could see a car with its right-hand turn signal on in the inside lane.
Are you saying that the car with those blinkers on was Mr. Dent's car?
I don't know.
Do you even know if it was a car's blinkers?
I believe it was a blinker,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Now, if you were told that there's a crosswalk with a blinking light going on and off at precisely the location you said you saw the blinker, would that change your mind?
I'm aware of that, and no, it wouldn't. I believe it was a blinker.
And let's talk about before they turn on to Oakland. Are you saying that you saw a reflection of the Cadillac's tail light there right at the corner?
No, sir, I'm saying I saw a reflection of a tail light.
All right. One that was on?
The tail
Was the
light?
tail light on or off?
It would be on. It'd be on.
And when they turn the corner, there's only one car that could be, right?
Yes, but you wouldn't know that until you pulled up. Until you pulled up.
Okay. So you're saying essentially that you saw Mr. Dent's tail light on Oakland Avenue after they turned, right?
Yes.
You're getting paid to say this, is that right?
I'm being paid, but not to say anything in particular.
You're not paid for sitting there in that chair or talking to us right now?
Right, but my opinion is my own. I'm not paid.
Well, you knew who paid you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how much are you getting paid?
$200 an hour.
And how many hours you worked so far?
Is that including all day yesterday when he didn't appear in court?
That's not the question.
Here, stop. Answer the question. How much have you
I
been paid?
was paid $1,500 for a retainer fee, and then I received one check for $1,000, so $2,500 I had not billed for the rest. I probably have another 16 hours or so.
And I'm not good at math, I'll screw it up. About what do you think that the defense is going to pay for you at the end of the day?
$4,000 or $5,000.
Now, you testified against police departments too, haven't you?
Yes.
You testified, or tried to, against individual officers, is that right?
Yes, I have.
So if you get paid enough, you'll testify against police officers and police departments too, right?
That's not the case.
Should I say that's argumentative, Judge?
Now, it's your testimony that everything that you saw in that video was A-okay with you, right?
Yes.
Even that last punch that Mr. Melendez threw after the pause.
The consecutive punches within roughly 10 seconds.
All right. Can you tell me, sir, what was the justification to pull Mr. Dent out of the car and throw him on the ground, based on what you saw in the video?
With the furtive movements, the vehicle was coming to a stop. The furtive movements inside the vehicle by Mr. Dent.
So you saw Mr. Dent doing furtive movements inside the car?
I could see his head move to the right.
When somebody goes to get their license or their registration, would that be in the console maybe?
They could.
So if I reach down into my console, it would be okay for the cops to pull me out and throw me on the ground?
No, sir, but that's what happened.
Well, what did happen?
When the blue lights were turned on, the vehicle continued. It swayed. The vehicle swayed and took a long time to stop, and the vehicle actually jerked back and forth, which is indicative to a police officer that either something's being concealed or perhaps some weapons being accessed.
Or they're pulling up into a better lighted area?
I don't think that was the situation, no, sir.
So you think it was absolutely all right that they grabbed him and threw him out of the car?
They were trying to secure him, to handcuff him, yes.
And from the point in time that they laid hands on him until they started beating him, how long was that?
For the time they laid hands on him, it was relatively quick. I'm not sure of exactly how many seconds.
Don't you think it would have been a good idea to say, hey, Mr. Dent, come on, get out of the car. Show me your hand.
There was no audio, so I don't know what was said, but it appeared Mr. Dent was resisting.
How?
He was not complying to get down on the ground and be handcuffed.
He got thrown to the ground, didn't he?
He wasn't thrown to the ground, but he went to the ground, yes.
Well, you see his hand extends when he's going down, is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
And if his hands don't extend, he's going nose first into the concrete, isn't he?
Yes.
So at that point, he's struggling with Mr. Zielinowski, who's trying to hold on to his hand so he doesn't take a nosedive into the concrete, right?
I don't believe so. That's the case. The police officer was trying to secure a handcuff. Trying to handcuff.
When he was going to the ground.
At first, that's why he pulls the arrow out, yes, sir.
Okay. And when Mr. Melendez grabs him around the head or the throat, depending on who you listen to, Mr. Dent pulls his hands up towards his face, does he not?
He pulls his hands up, yes, sir.
Okay. If I came up behind you and put a chokehold on you, what would your instinctual reaction be?
Your Honor, it's an argumentative question.
Overruled.
If,
No, a sustained, rephrase. What would it read?
Is it unusual for somebody getting strangled to reach up and get rid of the thing that's strangling them?
if someone were getting strangled, I think they'd want to reach up.
And when you talked about twisting the head, you saw the head twisting of Mr. Thomas when you were doing the demonstration, correct?
Yes, I twisted because I twisted his head, yes.
Because the whole idea behind that hole is like a cross arm bar, right? I used to wrestle, but for what it's worth. You're reaching across and you're trying to make the head turn. That's the whole idea, isn't it?
No, it's taking the head and guiding towards the crime.
By using force on the chin, right?
No, by taking, like I indicated, where the head goes, the body will follow.
Would you agree that Mr. Dent's head stays pretty much in the crook of Mr. Melendez's arm for a long time?
It stays near his arm for a long time.
Right, and you can see the teeth of Mr. Dent on numerous occasions. Is that true?
On a couple of occasions I recall, yes.
And you're saying that's reasonable?
Yes.
In the book you talk about Monday morning quarterbacks. Did I have that wrong?
I'm not sure if the word quarterback is anywhere in that book.
You heard the term?
Yes,
You're pretty much a professional Monday morning quarterback, aren't you?
I know, sir.
Well, you comment on how 9/11 got handled, is that right?
No, sir.
How you would have gone up the steps just like everybody else?
Yes, sir, that was an article about the psychology of police and how they respond to emergencies.
Okay. So, and
fire
you have opinions on Ferguson and Mr. Brown and basically anything police, right?
Based on my education and experience, yes, sir.
But basically, you're not there, right?
No, nothing.
And you make an analysis of what happened and how it could have been done better, is that right?
Sometimes, yes.
Right. And isn't that what a Monday morning quarterback is?
I wouldn't say that I'm a Monday morning quarterback.
No further question.
You were asked about your testimony in cases.
Yes.
You test exclusively for the police departments?
No, I do not.
Have you testified on behalf of people who are complaining against police departments?
I testify on behalf of minority groups and of persons that have been abused by the police. Yes, I have.
You testify both in civil cases and criminal cases?
Yes, I have.
In civil cases where people are trying to get money from the police department?
Yes.
And you testified on behalf of those persons?
On those persons, yes, I have. Plaintiffs, yes.
You've testified in deposition and at trial?
Yes.
You agreed with the prosecutor to the extent that your experience, people's experiences, shade the way that they think about things?
That's true, yes.
And you were asked questions about police officers and the camaraderie of police officers?
Yes.
Are police officers in danger every day?
Yes.
Are police officers in danger of things that they don't see?
Absolutely.
You testified about the reasonable police officer in this case. Would you have taken a chance on Mr. Dent looking for his driver's license?
Not given the totality of circumstances, I would have acted in a similar fashion.
You testified about him going to the ground. He went to the ground, did he not?
Yes, he did.
Did he ever submit until he was actually handcuffed?
No, he did not. And once he was handcuffed, he was guided up by the police officers. The use of force stopped.
You know, we've already talked about the potential dangers, and I don't have to go into that again. Listen, you've written a lot of articles, right?
Yes, over time, yes, sir.
And we are all formed by our life experiences. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Are you shaded so much by your life experiences that you could not testify on behalf of Mr. Dent if it were warranted?
I could testify for Mr. Dent if it were warranted, absolutely.
We had conversations, you and I, about this case, correct?
Yes.
Did I ever tell you what to say?
No, of course not.
When did you meet Mr. Melendez?
I met him yesterday for about 15 seconds, and then I said hello to him today for another 15 seconds. I've never met him.
Obviously, you and I prepared for the case, right?
Yes, we have.
Most of the time that you're working with lawyers, that happens, right?
Yes.
It's expected, right?
Yes.
Would you consider your testimony bought and paid for?
Absolutely not.
You recognize that there was a budget in this case?
Yes.
And you recognize that Mr. Melendez was not paying for this bill?
Yes.
How is that relevant?
Because it's relevant because you're implying that Mr. Melendez had
I'll
paid
allow
for
it.
him.
I'll allow it. No, I'll allow it.
You recognize that the union had a budget for up to $5,000 and that was it?
I did not realize that, but I realized there was a budget.
Then I'd ask that the answer
And then
be
be
struck.
stricken.
No. Did you realize there was a budget from the union?
Yes.
He already said he didn't know, now he says he does know.
No, he didn't know what the exact budget
No.
You
was.
didn't know the amount was. Okay, very good.
All right. Michigan State police officers get paid?
Yes.
Do police officers get paid?
Yes.
Prosecutors get paid?
Yes.
You think that because they get paid that means that they're biased?
No.
You think that because they get paid that you shouldn't be paid?
I believe I should be paid.
Is the amount of money that you're getting paid enough to buy your testimony so that you can lie?
It is not. My record is clear. My testimony is not bought.
You were asked a question by the prosecutor relating to a case that you testified that he said that you were disqualified from.
Yes.
Was that a case
I
that
didn't
you...
ask him any of that on my cross.
That didn't come out on the record?
Oh, no, just
All right.
answer.
I'll get away.
Just ask the question.
All right. The reason why you weren't allowed to testify is because the lawyer in the case didn't provide notice to the other side about your testimony.
That one case, yes.
Well, how do you remember now when you said you didn't remember earlier?
Because I showed him... the opinion.
Excuse me, let him testify. You indicated earlier you didn't remember the case, so now how do you have memory?
The Bay City case I didn't remember, but I did hear say that I didn't.
Well, then strike what you heard.
Well, did you...
Strike it.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit the opinion.
And I'm not going to allow it.
Oh, well, both.
I'm not getting into that. Go ahead. Anything further?
All right. You were asked about a portion of your book, is that right?
Yes.
When you talk about the basic role of police in society, are you talking about a role, the only role?
No. It's the particular role that's what stands out.
Is the chapter entitled Historical Perspectives,
Yes, it is.
Actions and Reactions of Police Officers to Threaten Violence?
Yes.
Is it in the context of that you're talking about a police officer's role as it relates to the use of force?
Yes. The force is always present despite their presence in their uniforms.
Police officers have the right to command people to do things, correct?
That's correct. And force does not have to be, force is not necessarily a bad thing. It is an authority position, not a power position.
You were told, or I mean you were asked the question about the fact that you had held yourself out to be an expert in geometry and physics.
Yes.
Remember that question?
Yes, I do.
On page 6, did you write, the officer's scientific background and evidence collection is associated with ballistics and thus includes geometry and physics?
Yes, I believe, yes.
You say it is associated with ballistics and thus includes geometry and physics. It doesn't say you're an expert at geometry and physics, does it?
I think that's for the jury.
All right, that's why I'm bringing it out.
No, and I use geometry and physics. I'm not an expert in geometry and physics.
You were also asked about something that you talked about in terms of metamorphosis. That's your word, right?
Yes,
On page 195.
yes,
When you're talking about metamorphosis, are you talking about the evolution of a police officer from a citizen into a trained police officer?
yes,
A lawful police officer?
yes.
Are you implying that police officers somehow change in some way, that they become evil and criminal?
No, not at all.
Is the metamorphosis you're talking about anything in a negative way about police officers and the way that they react?
It is not negative.
You recognize that police officers are somewhat different than general society, would you agree?
Yes,
They carry guns, do they not?
yes,
They enforce the laws, do they not?
yes, they do.
They're given constitutional powers to arrest, are they not?
Yes, to seize persons and things.
You were asked about consciousness of guilt.
Yes.
If a police officer is a racist and uses racial slurs,
Yes.
you recognize that that's not a very positive thing, would you agree?
That's a horrible thing, Dave.
And should it be encouraged?
Absolutely not.
Should it be condoned?
No, it should not be condoned. It's a horrible thing.
If a person uses a racial slur, should it affect his credibility?
Absolutely.
Would it show bias?
It could, but it would affect his credibility. Yes.
Would you agree that even if a person has a bias, that you still can judge the truth of what he says? Would you agree?
Yes, that's,
And that it is possible that a person could be telling the truth,
yes.
and it's possible that he's lying because of his bias.
Either way is possible, sir.
Would you agree that in order to test that person's truthfulness, that you might look to corroboration?
Yes.
You might look to things that you might be able to see in order to determine.
Anything I asked.
Same.
Well, you said that you saw a car in the video.
Yes, sir.
You said you thought that the car was a Cadillac?
No, he said it was. He's assuming facts, not evidence.
I am.
Rephrase.
I am?
Yeah.
Or is he? Both. You saw what you saw.
Do some. Yes.
Did you see a light colored car?
Yes.
Did it look consistent with the Cadillac?
The body of it, same type or similar to Cadillac, yes.
All right, did you see the car that was stopped?
Yes.
Did it look like it was similar to the car that you saw
Yes.
on Michigan Avenue going westbound?
Yes, sir.
You understand that the jury's the one that's going to decide whether or not that was the car?
Yes, sir, I understand
Okay,
that.
let's talk about that. You saw the vehicle in the video turn right. The police vehicle turn right. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, the police vehicle turned.
Okay.
Yes.
There was a short distance between the time that you saw the blinker, well, there was a distance between the time that you saw the blinker that you testified to and the police vehicle turned right. Would you agree?
Yes.
All right. Now, once that blinker occurs, the police car approaches the intersection. Is that right?
Yes.
That intersection is a short distance from Oakland Avenue. Isn't that right?
I think isn't that right is by its very
Same.
definition.
Okay. What was the distance between the vehicle, the police vehicle, on the right-hand turn
If you
going
know.
onto Fairbairn and the end of the street, the first corner?
Approximately a block. Right.
Was it a long block or a short block?
It appeared to be a short block.
Okay. It was at that point that you identified something on the video.
Right.
Jury's going to look at it. They're going to see it.
Yes.
All right. What did you say that was?
I looked like tail lights,
All right.
reflection of tail lights.
Would that be consistent with the car having recently turned onto Fairbairn?
Yes.
Did you see any other cars there with their lights on?
No.
Okay. Now, once that car then makes the right onto Fairbairn, the police car,
Right.
okay, and then comes to the corner on Oakland, and the vehicle turns left, what comes into view?
The police vehicle turns left.
Yes.
You see the white vehicle.
The
The tail lights.
the vehicle that Mr. Dent was driving.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, would you agree with me that when a police officer is in that car, their observations are not just limited to what it is that you see on the video?
That's correct.
You went a
This
long way
is
about
beyond
talking.
anything that I
Same.
asked about.
Sustained?
Yeah, hold on.
In your experience, as a police officer,
Yes, sir.
you are a sworn police officer now,
Yes,
You've been a sworn police officer for how many years?
34.
Okay. Citizens make false complaints?
Citizens do, yes.
Citizens lie?
That's not relevant.
It is, Judge, because he asked about police officers lying.
Okay, go ahead.
Citizens make false complaints?
Yes,
Citizens lie about what it is that they did?
yes,
Citizens who are charged with crimes might even take a witness stand and lie about it?
yes,
Citizens might lie just so that they get some money.
Is that a question or a
Is
testimony?
that a question?
There was a question mark after it. Have you in your
I'm
experience
not gonna allow
seen,
it.
Judge,
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
have you in your experience seen people lie to get money?
yes,
Okay.
Nothing more.
So you've seen that, right?
sir.
Others have too, right?
I would imagine, yes.
Did you ever drive this road?
No,
So you have no clue what the roads were like, right?
no,
Or what the intersection were like?
only through the video.
And you don't really even know if he stopped or where he stopped at that first intersection when the traffic's going by in front of him. You don't really know that, do you?
No, it appears that he pulled forward and came to a rolling stop.
So you saw that in the video.
Yeah, and then, yes,
Do these two pieces of paper, defendant's exhibit F, excuse misconduct by a police officer in the application report?
do those pieces of paper themselves,
Yeah, if the paper says it's okay, does that make it okay?
it makes it reasonable.
You've taken a contrary position, have you not, in your book?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Haven't you said that the step it up, or the one up that we've heard so much about, isn't the definition of reasonable?
Is not, might not be. The plus one rule may not be the definition of.
And you put that in your book, right?
In order for force to be, the plus one rule is the rule where police officers, when you look at the continuum, can use one level of force higher. But that level of force must be reasonable. It can't be.
Which is what the law is, not what the paper says, right?
That's I'm not sure what you mean, sir.
The paper says you can go up one level, right?
It says at the back of the continuum that all force must be reasonable.
So it's got to be reasonable. You can't just step it up. It's got to be reasonable.
You can have to step it one step up. It must be reasonable. Yes.
Sit down.
Wait,
What?
he brought this up. I want to be able to ask him a question about it.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. I got trouble hearing, I'm sorry. Did I tell you about I also have trouble paying attention and listening?
And you're gonna have a problem seeing too because you have a doctor's appointment at 2:30. Go ahead.
Another HIPAA violation. Sir, in the use of force criterion, it is in Defendant's Exhibit F on page 2. Does it talk about active resistance?
Yes.
Does it define it as any action by a subject that
I
attempts to
didn't ask
prevent an
anything
officer?
about active resistance.
Sustain. Okay, this is, you know what, at this
Let
point.
me just
I
talk
can-
about the totality of circumstances and I'm done.
That's it, okay?
Does it talk about the totality of circumstances?
Yes, it does.
Did he ask you about that,
He did.
Mr. Prosecutor?
I don't believe
You don't believe so?
that he asked me about the totality of circumstances.
Did you talk about
So,
the fact
therefore,
that...
don't answer
Right.
about it.
So,
Go ahead.
your testimony is that in order to step it up, it has to be reasonable.
Yes.
Is resisting actively a reasonable reason to step up the amount of force?
Yes.
Nothing more.
Very good. Thank you, doctor. Have a great day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. We're in recess. See you tomorrow, 9:30. All rise for the jury. Did you sign the book? Not gonna go when you're ready to go as a group. Remember what I said, don't watch TV regarding this matter. See you tomorrow.